Hi everyone, my name is Russian Adam, and today I wanted to have a little chat with all of you and to speak about my perfume called Cuir de Russie. So there's been a bit of controversy regarding this perfume and why I decided to launch it and why I called it garment perfume and why it's only to be used on clothing rather than applied directly on skin. And some people were concerned why I'm doing so many old school type of fragrances, why I'm going this direction. Am I going to copy some of these legendary fragrances? Some people were concerned how can Cuir de Russie garment perfume be sprayed on clothing when it's quite a dark perfume, and usually people tend to believe that dark perfume stain clothes. So first of all, I will speak about Cuir de Russie. What is Cuir de Russie? Secondly, I will say what is unique about my own Cuir de Russie and what inspired me to make it. Thirdly, I will mention one of the main ingredients of Cuir de Russie perfume, which is crude birch tar, and why it is the main reason behind this perfume being a garment perfume and to be used only on clothing and not applied directly on your skin. And finally, I will give you some tips on how to apply perfume so it not stain your clothing. So let's begin. What is Cuir de Russie? As some of you might know, Areej le Doré started as a brand that focuses on unique fragrances, but not completely unique. I love traditional French perfumery, so that's why I decided that Areej le Doré is going to be a kind of a mixture of all traditional French perfumery with Oriental Arabian twist, where we have lots of musk and oud and ambergris, and with additional twist and depth of Russian culture, where you always have some hidden meanings and hidden reasons behind a fragrance, whether it is a fragrance or a poem or whatever you're looking at, whatever type of art you're looking at. If it's Russian type of art, usually you have something quite deep in terms of a meaning and in terms of overall composition. So what is Cuir de Russie? Cuir de Russie, it's not a particular fragrance, rather it became a genre of a fragrances. So it became a particular style in fragrances. Just as you have your Chypre style or Fougère style, when a brand released a fragrance called Chypre, and then it became iconic, and many brands follow with their own interpretations of this particular style in fragrance. So you have Chypre and thousands and millions of Chypre perfumes. Same thing with the Fougère perfumes or Oriental perfumes or other type of styles in traditional French perfumery. So Cuir de Russie was once introduced to the market by one of the famous brands, and I will not go deep into details about the story of how it's been done and what influenced and what inspired this type of fragrances and which brand started first. Rather, I just say that it is a leather fragrance. Cuir means leather, and Russie means Russian. So it simply means Russian leather. And it's based around leather accord, which often is composed using castoreum, and birch tar. Birch tar is very interesting ingredients and actually have very little to do with leather. Rather, it's been used by Russian military, by Russian soldiers to polish their shoes, and the smell of leather shoes mixed with this amazing smoky dark birch tar aroma created this amazing fragrance. And finally birch tar started to be associated with the leather type of smell, and combination of leather and birch tar created this amazing intense leather accord that is a part of inspiration behind this fragrance. And it's obviously not only leather, it's floral, kind of feminine type of leather. So you have these two contrasting elements coming together: animalic, strong, dark leather with very, very gentle floral notes. So yeah, that's our Cuir de Russie. It's a traditional French genre, and almost every French brand at the time were making fragrances called Cuir de Russie, introducing to the market their own interpretation of this beautiful genre. They were using different ingredients, but the core of a fragrance remains kind of the same. You have your leather accord, whether it's made of synthetic ingredients, natural castoreum, or something else, and then you have your birch tar, and you have your floral, powdery, soft, feminine type of smells. So this is our beautiful Cuir de Russie style of fragrances. And second point that we're going to cover is what is unique in my own version of this beautiful genre, and why I decided to make this fragrance. First of all, I'm Russian and I love the scent of birch tar. I absolutely crazy about birch tar. I used it previously in some of my fragrances, Siberian Summer and maybe a few others. Cannot recall at the moment. And I always wanted to have my Cuir de Russie fragrance. However, I wanted to be different. So what is unique about Cuir de Russie by Areej le Doré by Russian Adam? I tried many French versions from many different brands, many interpretations of this beautiful genre. I enjoy most of them. However, I found that none of them display a true animalic side of the leather. Some of them were a bit animalic, but it's, for me, for my personal taste, it was never enough. So I wanted to take this into another dimension. I wanted to go extreme and to make truly animalic leather. So that's the reason why I used some of the very, very unique ingredients in this composition. So this what makes Cuir de Russie stand out from all other Cuir de Russie on the market. First of all, I used deer musk. This is one of my favorite notes, one of my favorite ingredients, and as you know, I use only wild Siberian deer musk, which is still can be legally and ethically sourced, and I will definitely make a separate video for this topic. But it's not something special. I use it all the time, but it's definitely special when it contributes to the note of leather, to this fury, amazing animalic leather. Second, very, very unique ingredient, and personally, to the best of my knowledge, I personally believe that it's never been used in perfumery before. The second ingredient that I used in this composition, very special, very unique, very authentic and intense ingredient. It's beaver tail oil. You probably never heard of it, or you might think this is another funny name for civet, or for castoreum oil, this is actually something else. This is an ingredient that I came across, and once I tried it, I was absolutely mesmerized and completely addicted. Most people will find it very, very hard to tolerate this ingredient in its pure form, but I found it amazingly beautiful, highly animalic, intensely leathery, and it's like castoreum times 10. It's like castoreum times 10 mixed with the even deeper, darker leather smell, and mixed with the fermented, almost agarwood type of smell. So it reminded me immediately one of the very, very old school traditional Hindi ouds, as well as castoreum times 10, deeper, darker, you name it. So I use this ingredient in a combination of different notes, of different floral notes in this composition to make this very, very intense, highly animalic, dirty leather accord, which I personally believe, to the best of my knowledge, it's never been used before, this ingredient. And obviously I added few other unique notes. There's a Blue Lotus accord there, consists of natural Blue Lotus Absolute as well as some synthetic components that also contribute to this leather accord and contrast to this leather accord, which I believe is unique. But this is the two main unique parts of this composition: beaver tail oil, which is a very, very intense, unique ingredient that I used, and deer musk, obviously. Now let's talk about birch tar. There were some controversy why Russian Adam doing this, naming a perfume a garment perfume. Is it going to be for all his collection so that he can avoid trouble with IFRA? As all of you know, guys, I never follow IFRA. I only can laugh at their philosophy. Obviously, to a certain degree, you know, there are safety measures that we always consider, you know, and simple things that we need to always bear in mind. However, banning different ingredients and highly limiting other ingredients often have nothing to do with the true danger that is in such ingredients, that might be in these ingredients. So, crude birch tar. There are two different types of birch tar. Original birch tar called crude birch tar. It is produced by destructive distillation from the bark of birch tree. And why I personally in such a love with these ingredients, because we used to go to the forest back in the day in Russia and burn, you know, woods and cook meat and have a good time. And always to start a fire, you collect bits of pieces of a birch tar. You start a fire from this. You not put a paper or anything. You just put a birch tar and then you cover it with the, you know, leaves and twigs and so on. That's how you start a fire. So the smell of birch bark burning is something that brings back memories, beautiful emotions, and very, very deep feelings of, you know, comfort and pleasure. So that's why I'm in such a love with this ingredient. Once birch bark is destructively distilled, meaning distilled without water, it produces an oil that is called birch tar, crude variety of birch tar, meaning it's not rectified yet, and it might contain some dangerous molecules for our body. And it's not recommended. In fact, it is completely banned by IFRA to be used in perfumery and to be applied directly on skin. However, rectified birch tar can be used in perfumery in very, very small amounts because it's been redistilled, and as people believe, those harmful ingredients being removed and left behind, so it can be used in perfumery. I, however, decided and used crude birch tar because this is just, you know, an original form of this beautiful material. Take bergamot, for example. Some of you might know that pure, untreated bergamot might cause skin problem if you apply it directly on skin and then you face direct sunlight. Your skin might turn dark or black or whatever else might happen. Then what some of these companies do, they treat this bergamot oil, they remove this particular compound from bergamot, but obviously it no longer smells the same. So the similar issue I have here with the birch tar. Crude birch tar is definitely more, you know, pure, more original version of this beautiful material. So that's why I decided to use it. However, it is forbidden to be used in perfumery completely, and it's dangerous to be applied directly on skin because of some of the harmful molecules that might be in this oil as a result of destructive distillation. So for this very reason, even though we used traces of it, we do recommend and highly suggest everyone to use it only on clothing. So, you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. All natural materials might cause allergy and so on. It's not about that. It's about really some of the harmful molecules that might be in this oil. And even though we use only traces of it, we still highly recommend you use it only on clothing.